hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling, geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's our resident, unkillable security guard of the pod, DL. How are you?
Good, man. I don't think that's me. I think I'm like random dude gets punched 3.
You're a random background character.
In the background. Which, like, by the way, dude, am I just like weird, or is that not the reaction I would have to anyone having a fight in the bar? Is to just like punch my mate who's to the left of me. like literally like, oh, there's a fight. Like turn to my mate, like who I'm having
Dave.
who I'm having a beer with, and be like, bar fight, and punch him in the face. Like, what? That is not normal behavior. Like they just try to normalize like psychopath behavior.
You don't just fight everyone who's in your vicinity?
Like literally every night at the bar? Like on a Tuesday, dude. They're like, people are just trying to have like a beer, decompress from work. They see a fight, they're like, I guess we gotta. Like, what's going on there, dude? Roadhouse is.
I don't know. I think I'd be commentating on the side. I'd be like, and now man with the chair gets up and hits him in the head.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and then you'd get hit with a chair, and it would be a vicious cycle. Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Worst case, though, like that's what you'd be doing. Wouldn't be like punching your friend. The amount of times in this movie, which we're getting ahead of ourselves.
But just before we get into it,
yeah.
There are times when you would love to punch your friend, right?
Yes. So, like, sure, maybe like
this is your opportunity.
Maybe it's like an excuse, but like night after night after night, this is happening.
Yeah, your
the entire film, dude.
Ill feelings towards them.
Yeah, this is not your friend if this is how you're treating them. This is not a friend.
Hey, Dre, do you want to go for a beer? Are you going to punch me in the head this time?
Like,
maybe. I don't know. You know, like I went to the hospital last time. It cost me $1,000.
Doesn't feel like at least a.
Well, guys, we're going to be talking about Roadhouse at some point today. We're not quite there yet, though. How have you been, buddy? What's happening?
Oh, good, man. Life's been good. Keeping it chill. What have I done? Made like a Wagyu dinner the other night with some sake. Had a buddy over. Oof. Did like a little sake tasting with Wagyu.
Well, I now see where I fit on your friendship scale. I'm not quite in the Wagyu.
You're not
clearly not.
Level. No, I had to give Brett, mutual mate Brett,
of course,
his groomsmen stuff. So I did that, and he brought over like a whiskey, and I did sake. And I made some sticky rice, which is very good. But now having made it, I don't think I'll ever eat it again.
Oh, why?
So much sugar. The amount of sugar you put in this stuff.
Yeah, there is
wild. I was looking at the recipe, I was like, surely not.
Yep.
And
so much sugar.
So there's a lot of that in our fridge, and I just can't eat it.
There's a lot of that in all of those types of foods. Like if you look at the actual, like sushi, for example, that uses the same type of rice. For the most part,
sushi,
so.
But I can't. I mean, they put sugar on sushi rice. I get that, but like this is an absurd amount. Like I feel like literally all the sugar we had, I had to put in this to serve like 5 people.
Bloody hell!
I was like, yeah.
And you're on a shred diet for as well. Shred.
So
for
I have
the wedge.
and I have all this extra, and I'm like, I can't even eat it. So it's just kind of wasteful.
Gail's not going to eat it either.
No, she's shredding harder than me.
Brilliant. Good for her. Good for you guys. You're looking great, by the way. Look at you.
God.
Who would have guessed?
How about you?
Maybe you'll be the new Armsy.
I don't know about my arms. They're big for me, but they're still petite little wings compared to you.
Little chicken thighs.
Yeah. What have you been up to, man?
Dude, I was in Melbourne this week. I was at work. I'm just a little tired. It's been a hard week, traveling a lot, and I'm just super excited to sit here with my best mate, do a podcast about some shit film. I don't know where he is. He hasn't arrived yet, but like,
and you're,
but I get you instead. That's all right. That's not too bad.
It's better than Roadhouse.
It's better.
That's for sure.
Which we had to watch for this podcast. Oh, I don't know, man. Like sometimes I want to switch my brain off, but I think we're going to talk about it a little bit in a short while. I feel like Jake Gyllenhaal specifically, who is obviously in this movie, the lead. I feel like every 3 to 5 movies, he has to take a hit for the studio to maintain his sort of, I don't know, mayhem of weird indie style movies.
He hasn't been doing that many indie movies, or maybe I just haven't seen them. Well, I think he actually, some part of him enjoys this kind of film and this kind of character.
Part in the back of his head.
Some part of him does. Like he enjoys just being able to like ham it up and accurate, because this is basically Ambulance. It's the same film.
You're ruining my stupid plot summary. It's
sorry.
Terrible.
But it's like this. It's like the same thing. The Latina chick, love interest, like also a nurse, right? Or a doctor or something?
Well, she was an EMT, right? Yeah, I know, right?
Like, potato. Like literally almost the same job. Hispanic. He's got a type.
In these movies, he said.
Yeah.
What if it's the same character?
Maybe they're in the same universe.
He's got the same like eye twitch in this that he had in
maybe they are. Maybe this is like
we're getting way too far ahead of ourselves, guys. Look,
universe.
If you like what you're hearing, why not drop us a 5 stars? You can do it right there in app. You can do it in your podcast capture of choice. 5 stars goes a long way to helping us with things like algorithms. What you can also do is, if you are sick of hearing about us banter about dumb stuff in our week, feel free to skip around. There will be time codes in the description, as always, supplied by editing master Mr. Matthew Bliss, whose details we will give you at the end of the pod. DL, tell me, what have you been up to in your geeky sphere, buddy? What's been happening?
Geeky sphere? A lot of
what you been watching and reading?
So I watched a bit of show. I've only been reading that AI book. It's slow going. I'm making progress. I think I'll be done by next week.
I thought you were going to say by next year.
No, because I'm like forcing myself to do. Because I'm like, get this over with.
Do it. And you've got plenty of time.
Yeah. Shogun. I think I watched like a half of like. I'm on episode 4. I was like halfway through episode 3 last.
I feel like that might be an episode we record to release while we're away for your wedding. I feel because I feel like that's going to be finished. What's it? 5-6 episodes out now. So I think we can probably get around to an episode.
Well, you need to watch it.
I haven't watched any of it yet, so we'll get there.
But actually, oddly enough, I've been doing a rewatch.
Wait, sorry. Do you recommend Shogun thus far?
So far, yeah, it's good. It's still slow, but good.
But are they starting to build towards something now? You said before that.
Like there's obvious conflict. Like yes, like obvious. Like it's a crescendoing to a conflict that is now before was like sub. What's the word? You know, like when it's like underneath the surface.
It's boiling under the surface.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but there's a word for it, like espionage, but like not that. Basically, it was like, you know, surface like below the surface tensions, like and political dealings, and you could tell. And
like
now it's
sexual tension, just constantly bubbling.
Yes, now it's outwardly. Basically outward conflict.
So when we've had a beer and it starts to crackle.
Yes, it's crescendo.
Our sexual tension just coming to a massive
especially
head.
at the Roadhouse.
At the Roadhouse.
Or you punch your friends in the face.
Then you hit me with a beer bottle.
So that's like happening. I like that. And then I'm more excited, honestly, though, about this rewatch of Severance I'm doing with the partner, the fiance, because I want her to get into it before the second season comes out.
When is the second season coming out?
It's filming right now, so a while.
Okay.
I was like wanting to watch it again for some reason.
Oh man,
because I think it would have value as a rewatch because of like the amount of plots and twists and so I'm doing it and I'm like just as excited. It's like one of those rare shows like True Detective where I'm like watching it again and I'm like just as excited to watch it as when I first watched it.
When I rewatched the first season of True Detective, man, like honestly, the things you miss, the things you pick up on the second time around. So if Severance is like that, I would happily give it a rewatch.
And the acting's just good in both.
Yeah.
And it's just a creepy
Scott's
atmosphere, like it's just good. I forgot how like depressing parts of it can be.
Oh my god, so depressing. Just like not even depressing, just like cold and brutal. Not dissimilar to the way that latest season of True Detective was, you know?
Yeah, it is. It's cold and brutal, but it like you're so empathetic to the characters. Like, could you imagine if I just stay at work all the time? Like, it's like
you wake up and you're there.
That hits you hard. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just felt that.
It's truth.
And I feel like it is I feel there's a lot of themes they can do with this story that I'm excited about. The only thing I'm worried about is like, unlike True Detective and some other great shows like Game of Thrones that are like good for seasons on seasons, this one was super reliant on a pretty big plot twist.
Okay, I see.
And like the mystery of what was happening as you were learning about it. Like the whole season
quick spoiler shout out for Severance season 1.
Yeah, quick big spoilers. If you haven't seen it,
go check it out. Check it out. Really good.
Stop listening. Matt
will put time codes in.
Yeah, there's so much like around the season that is exposition slowly about what is actually happening. You can't do that again.
No,
you can't really do that. So like we now know the world, we now know the rules. How are they going to fill the mystery? Like I guess they could do like the Lost thing where each room is this new discovery, but I worry that the plot twist and the mystery of what we were actually seeing was such a big plot driver that they don't have that as much to rely on. I'm still super stoked to watch the second season.
Same, but there are plenty of ways they can go with it, right? Like there's
it's wide open.
Is a lot they can do. I love the idea that the inside, what do they call them? Insides?
Innies.
The innies, that's right. Yeah. They're belly buttons. The innies managed to make it into the real world. So like perhaps it's more them finding ways.
That's literally how it ends though. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, right? It's like
finally we know everything.
The biggest cock block of all time.
But also like well done.
Yes, no, fair play. But I feel like there's a lot they can do with that angle. I love the idea of maybe them swapping at some point where so the outie is the innie and they're trying to explain to people that they have no idea what's going on or like whatever and no one believes them. You know what I mean? Well, I feel like there's a good angle they can do with that.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're going to, you're right. I have a feeling though that what's going to happen is we're going to get like we're basically going to get like, we think it's going to be all exposed. Like something big happened at the end of the season, right? Like we're not even sure if they've discovered, but the mom or the
old handler.
The old handler knows.
Yeah.
And then the sister figures it out.
Yes.
But like it ends with him being cut, like trying to like figure out or figures out his wife or something.
You don't 100% know because like you don't 100% know if it actually stops. You assume it stops.
Yes.
But like you don't know. Like he could carry on in the real world for a while.
I think he won't. And I think that like we're like, oh, the cat's out of the bag, but I think they're gonna find a way to de-escalate that pretty quickly. Well, and it's a lot of the tension is gonna be how do we get this out? Because the government's influencing the policy, you know, all the people that I talked to are now no longer that same person because the innie's back in. And it's going to be like about the battle of trying to get more of this out in collaboration with Mark.
I wonder if it's the sister trying to find
100%.
Ways to communicate with the innie
100%.
and understand more what's happening. Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a cool idea.
Because the question also becomes like, will Mark be on? Like we're all convinced Mark will be on the same page as his sister because she's now seen what happened. But he's been pretty anti-reintegration, right?
Yeah, for most of it. Yeah,
even every chance he gets, if I recall, he kind of like he slowly comes around, but he's like, no. But maybe the idea that his wife is alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But does who figures that out?
I can't remember. Man, you're talking months ago for me.
Yeah, I'll tell you next week.
You come back and tell me. Remind us next week.
Anyway, that's a big digression.
Well, I find that like super compelling that it's good on a rewatch because I wasn't sure, like you said, it did sort of revolve around this big twist.
Yeah.
So I wondered if perhaps it wouldn't be as good on a second rewatch.
And the crescendo of twists, just all of them hitting at once, beautiful.
An absolute cascade of them. I did a couple of cool things this week. Things I think you may enjoy. The Formula One's back, baby. So Drive to Survive season 6 has been out. Have you watched any of Drive to Survive?
I watched the first season.
Okay.
That was it.
Because I
just don't know like how I like it, but like, is it going to be that different season to season?
Interesting. So that was my problem with it, right? Yeah. Because if you know anything about Formula One, which I didn't until I started watching this, truly didn't, you'll know that Red Bull right now are just year after year, like as in last year, the lead guy Max Verstappen lost one race.
Yeah, the thing is, he also bugs me so much. I can't watch him.
He's clearly on the spectrum, right? Yeah, surely. But the thing I like about it is it builds the tension around other teams, the teams vying for other positions in the table or in the Constructors League. And it sort of just plays up to the tension. And so I'm at that point, right? I'm at the point of being like, what else are they going to add to this? Red Bull are killing it. Everyone else is just second place from here on out. But some really interesting things are going to be happening in the next 2 seasons. So this season specifically, like as in what they are filming right now. I don't know if you know this, but Christian Horner, who is the team principal, so like the lead for Red Bull, is currently in this. Have you heard about this?
No.
There's this huge shitstorm around him where he
seems something off about him. I might say.
Yeah, he's just the biggest dick in the room, right? Literally. So one of his employees has released all this stuff about him where he's been sexting her, sending her like pictures of his penis, literally. Like all this stuff.
You looked at it; it's quite large.
I have actually seen it, and it is bigger than I was fully expecting. I'm not going to lie to you.
He's a little guy. He's not that big.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's not a big dude.
But like we don't obviously don't condone that type of behavior. That's ridiculous. But there's all these like rumors that perhaps it's a plant because there's a new CEO at Red Bull, and maybe they think he's got too much power in the organization, trying to get rid of. Super interesting. So I wonder how much of that's actually going to come into Drive to Survive next season, whether it does at all. If they completely ignore it, that's nonsense.
They can't do that.
It's like the biggest news story in Formula One ever. So it's certainly really interesting. And then the season after, halfway through this season, it's going to be announced, but the season after, it's going to happen that Lewis Hamilton, famous British Formula One driver, been with Mercedes ever since he was literally a child, has just signed to go to Ferrari. So in terms of Formula One, that's huge news. And it means that the hierarchy of power is about to change. And
but is it
classic Dwayne Johnson?
It's like usually these older drivers, like they go take the big money when they're kind of and go to a lesser.
Well, what's interesting about actually Ferrari's pretty much second. Like as in Mercedes hit second in this last season, but it was like by the skin of their
Mercedes
teeth.
Used to be
but they're
number
not.
one, and that's my point.
Yeah, so they're
they go down to the next tier.
So what's interesting is, but that might start a bit of a I don't know, like a roundabout of drivers. So who then fills the number 1 spot in Mercedes? Who then goes to, where does the guy from Ferrari go? So
the young kid,
Charles Leclerc. I don't think he's left. It's the other one. I've forgotten his name. Anyway, look, I quite like it. They build the drama up quite nicely, and they are pretty good at not leaning too heavily on the fact that Red Bull are just smashing it. So, like, and the partner, she bloody loves all the drama. You know what she's like. It's basically like trash TV to her. So we
actually should try and get my partner to watch it because it's very much in her realm and at least a topic that I like.
Yeah.
Not just sport. These like
why not? Give it a go.
Being like,
oh yeah, I don't know. What was the last one she watched that was that? It was what's the one on a boat? I don't know.
They're all
God, they're so bad. But yeah, I'd highly recommend if you've not seen any of Drive to Survive, go check it out. Yeah. We actually watched a fun movie the other day, which I'm surprised went straight to streaming. And I heard about this on a different podcast that I really
Roadhouse.
Like. We'll talk about that in just a second. But it is called Ricky Stenicki. Have you ever heard of this?
Why does it sound familiar? Is it a famous actor?
So it is a film with Zac Efron.
Yes.
And two other guys who I probably should know. They're probably comedians, but I have no idea who they are. But principally, it has John Cena in it. So the setup for this,
I saw this on Amazon.
I think it went to it was at one of the like South by Southwest or Cannes or something. So the idea is that as kids, these three friends made up an imaginary friend to take all the blame for them. So whenever anything bad happened, it was Ricky Stenicki. It was his fault. And it gets to a point where they're grown-ups and they're still using it to go and, I don't know, go to Atlanta, go to Vegas or whatever for a weekend. Yeah, it really is. But when they're out there, they meet this outwork actor, John Cena, who has this on-stage personality as like, he does like the dirty versions of songs. So he picks like, I don't know, Purple Rain by Prince and makes it into about masturbation. It's fucking hilarious. And then they meet him, but it turns out that while they're there, I think they're in New Orleans gambling or something. They miss the birth of one of their children.
Oh, God.
So they then have to have a real Ricky Stenicki to come in and play that part. So they call this John Cena. He's like wild, and it's
a really good premise.
It's one of these movies that
kind of like Horrible Bosses. Like, ridiculous but funny.
Right, and we don't get that many of these movies anymore. Yeah. Like I feel like comedy's really gone down the path. One of my all-time favorites.
Great movie. One of the better comedies in the the last 10 years. Maybe
watch
it's
that
older.
After a few drinks.
Maybe
100% worth it.
You guys are getting paid? It's a great movie, dude.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
It's got similar vibes in terms of like how it ends, you know, like, and these types of movies that are just like, they're almost a bit cringe, like comedy movies, but have like a wholesome kind of ending.
Yeah.
I miss that. I feel like everything has to be dark nowadays and gritty and blah, blah, blah.
Or the comedy is just like super annoyingly like
dull. Yeah.
Just like woke.
Yeah. So 100%. Like that Bill Burr movie about old dads or whatever it is. Even it's ironic how woke that tries to be.
I only got halfway through that. I got bored.
So bad. Anyway, I turned it off. Same as you. This one, I would recommend going and checking out Ricky Stenicki. Like, it's not going to blow your mind in any way, shape, or form. But if you want like a good comedy that has some irreverent moments and is just... Actually, you know what? I'm going to say it. I feel like John Cena's turned the corner. I rate him as an actor now. Like,
well, he's Peacemaker was a good comedian.
Yeah, Peacemaker was right there. It was right on the edge. I feel like, but in this, he also has some like quite tender moments too that make him stand out as an actor. Like, I don't love wrestlers turn actors. You know, Batista's doing something. Who else is there? There's other ones. The Rock. I do not like The Rock's body of work. I'm sorry. I don't care for it.
Me same.
What's it saying for Ricky
Hate that pep.
Give me the...
Look, I mean, I think Zac Efron is an underrated comedic actor.
Me too.
So like anytime he's got a movie that's a comedy, I'm down. And there's two comedians in this, Andrew Santino.
Yes, that's right.
And actually only one. Never mind. And I like John Cena, so I'm in.
So he rolled out of doing Iron Claw and straight into this. And I'm really surprised this didn't get at least a small cinema release because it's funny and it has genuine heart to it.
I wonder if it just like costs too much these days.
To do cinema releases these days.
Like you need to make a certain amount to make it worth the marketing effort.
I would say you absolutely do. Yeah, absolutely. But I reckon this would have got good word of mouth. I think it would have been one of those. What was that Jennifer Lawrence movie that came out recently where it was just like a silly, you know, growing... coming of age rom-com type
people
thing.
Love that.
It's got a similar vibe in terms of the irreverent humor. Anyway, I'm talking too much about Ricky Stenicki. DL, you got anything else before we move on?
I finally cracked on the video game front. I'm playing
tell me.
Horizon Zero or Horizon Forbidden West.
Forbidden West, the new one?
Yeah, it's cool. It doesn't feel that different yet.
Yeah.
It feels like an expansion, more like with the graphical uplift.
Okay.
More than like a bunch of new gameplay, but I'm pretty early.
She gets a glider, right, at some point? Or did they have that in the last one?
No, they didn't have that.
Okay.
I think there's new stuff coming. And like apparently the like melee combat gets a bit more complex.
Ooh, fancy.
Because it was super lame before.
Right.
But I haven't seen any of that yet. But it's still like the combat mechanics in that game are so fun.
Yeah.
That like you don't really like. I'm still down, but it's not like like oh they took this and up leveled it.
Oh, this reminds me. So you recommend?
Yeah, I still recommend.
This totally reminds me actually. So we've talked about this multiple times. My all-time favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy VII. Full stop.
The remake or the original?
Story. So played the remake, enjoyed the remake, was excited for the second part, which is Rebirth or something. So it's almost like a subtle sequel to the first game. So what happens in the first disc is it just builds a little bit on the story and changes it very slightly, whereas now it apparently goes wildly different. So I picked this up maybe 2 weeks ago when it came out, and I was pretty pumped, as you would expect. Second part of my all-time favorite game.
Are you a fanboy that's going to be mad?
So there are little no, you see, it's not the problem with the game. In fact, I would like to get into the game and play it some more and get into it. I've played about 2 hours. My problem with this is that I put maybe 40 hours into the first game. And when I pick up the second one, none of your progression, none of your items, none of the shit you spent ages leveling up comes with you. So it's just a brand new game and you start again at level 15 and you just go from there. So you put all this time and effort into it to get stuff to make you guys good, to carry on with the game.
I thought you said that it would carry over.
I thought that it would, but they just haven't. They've just cut it out. And I was literally, I thought I'd done something wrong. So I actually played 2 hours of the game.
Oh, so you said there is a bug. That when you said there was a bug, there's not actually a bug.
No. So I played 2 hours of the game and then, or maybe even more, maybe 3. And I was like, oh no, I've messed this up. I need to do this thing that it says online. Went back, restarted, played the 3 hours again, and then did a bit more research. And it turns out none of your stuff comes with you. So I've wasted all this fucking time on the first game, leveling up and all this shit.
Like, nice. You played it.
I was doing things like all the extra stuff you can do at the end of a game. I was doing the grindy stuff.
Never grind.
Genuinely, it's really put me off to the point that I put it down, I put Elden Ring back in, and I've just not touched it. I played the first 3 or 4 hours, and I'm like, I don't like that. So it's over campified the game for me. So like the original game was so stoic, and it had these weird campy moments that sort of like blended in, and you were like, it was kind of like a nice aside from how grim the game was all the way through. Whereas now I'm playing it and I'm like, it's too much on the campified side. Like, I don't mind that. Like, it's fine occasionally. But
is that because of like the camp to non-camp ratio, or is it because like there's just more stoic games now? So like, it's not like the stoicness just doesn't hit as hard.
50-50.
Yeah.
So I think there are games that have done it better and are doing it better right now, which really reflects on the fact that they've upped the camp to non-camp ratio towards the campsite.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hit for me anymore. Like, it doesn't work in that setting. Like, I want it to be a game that's, that touches all the points it did previously and makes them even more grim, maybe, because it's supposed to be changing the story. And the story's pretty dark in the first game.
Yeah.
So I will go back to this at some point when I've gotten over my little tantrum, shall we say.
Yeah.
I'm maybe got my spit my dummy out for just 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But like, that does really frustrate me that I worked hard on that last thing and none of it's come with.
Well,
would that not frustrate you?
It seems like a missed opportunity,
right?
But it is a different game.
Technically,
so there's like that's what people said about The Witcher, but like the story impact, there was impacts, but not really big ones.
It's not going to impact anything, and like I think part of it was like, we need to do like a different leveling system. I'm like, yeah, sure you do, but just make it harder for people who've played the last game.
Or like make something worthy of the effort, even if it's a token.
Well, they do. They give you 3 pieces of magic things you can use, and it's like that doesn't matter. I don't even use magic that much in these games. I can't be arsed with it. So I'm like, it's just frustrating that you aren't rewarded, like you say, in any specific way.
Or like some extra quests, maybe. Would you take that?
No, I want to be able to carry on with the characters I've got and worked hard to build up. Like,
I guess, but I get that. Like, if they change the mechanics. Like, you know what I mean? What if they just like updated things that are just like not as transition to, like, it doesn't transition well? I don't know if they did.
The excuse is that it's a brand new game and they expect you to play it like a brand new game, but it is the second part of a trilogy or whatever it's going to be. And
we're gonna
just for me,
this is your position, and
I feel like they could have done it better.
This is your hill. Yeah,
I'm not even going to die in it. Like, I'll play it when I play it, but I'm in no rush to. Like, I was in a rush to play it. I bought it on day 1. I was ready. I downloaded the patch and whatever, and then
It's funny you say that, because like I kind of felt a bit the same way about Horizon Zero Dawn.
Interesting.
Because like I started, and it's
Forbidden West
with Zero Dawn, because I'm like, I did the same thing and I had all the stuff, and I was like, well, this is like not that different of a game where it kind of feels like it's weird that I don't have my stuff. Because like it starts out directly after the first. The game doesn't feel that different. And the story is like directly following, and they have to have some excuse like, oh yeah, she lost some of her gear in a slip up.
Oh,
it's
really?
Like,
she fell over.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? Like, and I have to just like go buy all the shit again. I'm like, this literally feels like the same game, and I just finished the expansion. So I feel you. I get it.
She went to Vegas. She gambled it all away one weekend.
There was a tight, you know, that just referred to some tight situation.
She lost it on a game of dice.
I don't know. But I'm stuck with Hunter Bow 1 again.
Oh, that's frustrating. Hey, guys, look, we're rambling a little bit here, but if there's anything we haven't talked about that you've been up to, please hit us up. You can find us at podcastassemble or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Or just go to our website, www.podcastassemble.com. We're there. You can find our contact details. Hit us up with memes, news, and reviews. We love it when you do, and we love to call you out. DL.
Yes.
Do you want to preface our main topic this week?
It's the main topic theme.
The rebootuation. Or I guess this is just a remake.
It's a rebootuation.
Is it?
I would say.
I never saw the original, so I don't know how close the plot is. Anyway,
it's not. I haven't seen it either, but it's
rebootuation.
But I think it fits
Roadhouse.
in the rebootuation category. So if you say it is sort of rebooting a franchise, maybe slightly continuing some elements of it because it's the same character.
Okay.
So I think it's a rebootuation. I think it
is the same character.
Yes. It is the same character.
The same name.
Yeah.
That would imply to me that it's a remake that's... Anyway, who cares? Who
cares?
We'll toss it up.
That's a hill we don't need to die on.
The rebootuation remake, whatever you want to call it, of Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
One word.
Roadhouse. Matt, if you could just chop in Peter Griffin saying Roadhouse a number of times while we're doing this, that would be fucking wonderful, because that's literally all I could hear in my head whenever someone said Roadhouse.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal, some other people.
Ripped as fuck, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Connor was shredded.
Absolutely shredded.
Connor is ripped.
He is.
Well, but he's puffy.
Do you want to do your stupid plot summary before we get into it?
Yeah, I had a movie where everyone just needs to take a chill pill is one. Another one is just like a movie that's doing nothing for the stereotypes of Florida. Not helping that either. But that's all I got, man. This is very simple plot.
I got one for you. I've taken the longer route for you this time. Okay. Ambulance Part 2. Jake Gyllenhaal stars in his contractually obliged one studio movie every couple of years to maintain his career of awesome but weird art house pieces. With a wardrobe of shirts I would even be proud of. Fighting his way through this rebootuation is Dalton, an unkillable security guard who I'd love to see take on the villain of last week's movie, No Country for Old Men, Anton Chigurh. Because neither of them can die. It would just be like Superman versus the Hulk. They would just be pummeling each other forever.
It would be. Yeah.
Wouldn't it just?
It would be boring.
Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, is from Doug Liman, who you will know as a director of fantastic movies like Edge of Tomorrow, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, The Bourne Identity, and then a bunch of other weird crap that's thrown in there in the middle. But like his core movies are really, really bloody good. And the thing I find interesting about this movie is that Doug Liman said that he was going to boycott this at South by Southwest because effectively in protest the fact that this went directly to streaming and not to theaters. It went straight to Prime. If I'm an executive, right, at say Amazon or any of the big movie studios, and they don't make a lot of great decisions. Like if you look at anything that Warner Brothers are doing at the moment, they're just killing movies for no reason, just for tax write-offs. But I feel like they made a good decision putting this straight to streaming.
Well, I just feel like it's like kind of like you either negotiate that in the contract when you're becoming the director, or you shut up. You can't like take the money and then complain about it.
And interestingly,
you know
apparently
what I mean?
Jake Gyllenhaal came out and said exactly that.
Like,
so,
yeah.
This, as we say, has Jake Gyllenhaal as Dalton. We're going to talk about him in just a moment, but it also has, as you say, generic Hispanic. I don't think she's Hispanic. I think she's maybe French, but I can't quite remember. But Daniela,
I mean, she's got some Latino roots for sure.
Yes.
Or Portuguese or something.
Yes, Portuguese, I believe. So you'll know Ellie from the likes of The Suicide Squad. She's in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. She's a James Gunn fave. It's got Conor McGregor. It's got Billy Magnussen, who you will know from No Time to Die. It has a character called Charlie, who is Hannah Lovelena, who we're going to talk about in just a moment. And there is the best cameo of all time. It's not. It's absolutely fucking terrible. But Post Malone's in this for some reason. I'm not 100% sure why. That's just...
It's not even a great cameo.
Nah, he's just there for like 5 minutes and then he bottles it.
It's completely unrealistic that he would be good at fighting.
He looks
like such a shrimp.
Right.
The hits that he's like the sounds, I'm like, this doesn't add up. I know physics. His wrist would break. Like, yeah, I just like, it was even CGI'd. They couldn't.
We're gonna talk.
Did you
about
see
this.
that?
We're gonna talk.
Yeah,
about
we'll
this in a
get
minute.
there.
We are. Do you want to talk quickly through the plot of this a little bit then?
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing complex. We follow a haunted ex-UFC fighter as he takes on a security.
Even your
gig.
tone sounds bored. Like, did you really?
As he takes on a security gig at a small Everglade town's best beach bar that's had some riff-raff in lately, wrecking the place.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the full story when he takes this job. There's a bit more to it.
Look, let's be upfront with this, right? We're going to do spoilers and non-spoilers, but non-spoilers is going to be spoilers is going to be minimal. This, it's just not a great movie.
First half's not bad, actually.
I gotta be up, the first half of the comedy is all right, but just in general, so like it's just fucking mayhem, like all the way through. Like none of it doesn't push cinema forward. It tries to be edgy with some of the character choices, but just comes off as a bit cliche. Just in general, I'm watching it thinking, why? The original, and it's been a long time since I've seen the original, but like it is a bit of a classic, a bit of a cult classic. There's just no need. It's like it's a name, so let's reboot it for some reason. I don't get it, DL. I don't get why everything has to be rebooted.
You could reboot something like this effectively. Like, and make it an actual drama, but this just devolves into like a Sharknado-esque, like what else? It's just like it devolves into like a fucking snakes on a plane kind of candor, you know?
Well, I was going to say, I was going to hold this for later on, but do you think, and the way this ends, which we'll talk about a little bit later, is, do you think they're going for maybe the next Fast and the Furious type thing? Do you think that's what they're trying to aim for? He'll build a little team around him as he's on his way to, the next town and the next town. And it becomes, wilder and wilder. Not that this isn't fucking wild anyway. What do you reckon?
I mean, like, I just don't know if there's enough here to carry a franchise in that way.
I feel like he's made some friends. It's like, you think about the Fast and Furious, right? People were in that film, the very first one, you didn't see for 5 films, and then came back. First movie lost their minds.
The first movie was so good. The Fast and the Furious. It's like it's a phenomenal film.
So simple. We have to do that at some point.
Yeah, that's a really good movie. But this is like not. So like they could try. Be a mistake.
Well, after the bratty son of a prisoned up bad guy, Ben Brandt fails to take on the fabled Roadhouse. He was in No Time to Die. So he was.
What else though?
So if you remember No Time to Die, when Felix Leiter has got that sort of random CIA operative with him, and he's the young dude, that's him. And I hadn't realized that until I Googled it.
I think there's other things that I'm going to pull them up right now.
Well, anyway, so when they failed to take down fabled
Roadhouse,
all 2 words of it, I didn't get that joke, not going to lie to you, but all right. So Daddy then turns to recent released mafia enforcer Knox, played by Conor McGregor, to hunt down Dalton. Now, I'm going to skip talking about Conor McGregor for a minute because I've got a lot of thoughts about him in this. But the action in this, because you are thrown directly into action. The very first scene is Post Malone fighting, and then you see more with Jake Gyllenhaal fighting. What on earth is this? It made me fucking nauseous. Do you like, what's this with where you're like,
the camera was weird.
The camera follows the fist and then it'll follow the head. It
was all over the place.
What's happening with it?
Like, I get like what they're trying to do with like a POV.
Why?
But it wasn't really consistent. No. And I don't know if it just didn't really work.
I feel like they're trying to do the new shaky cam and it's just not.
Shaky.
It's nothing. What's really interesting to me about this is that the filmmakers themselves even called out that they sought to make, the fight scenes feel more innovative. They developed a new multi-pass technique for the brawls to make it feel more realistic. How does any of this feel realistic at any point?
Couldn't tell you.
Maybe it feels like you've been hit in the head.
It doesn't feel,
like
it doesn't feel
you've
realistic.
got a concussion while you're watching it, because honestly, I joked before, it made me feel nauseous. There were times in this I was looking away because the fight scenes are multiple, numerous. There are so many chucked in there. It just got a bit much for me.
I agree. It got like, it devolved.
Yes.
It devolved. I think so. And I mean, like, in particular, the end. Like, I don't know what else to talk about other than like, there's like the parts that I didn't like about it. Like, some of the fight looks like CGI.
Yes. I'm pretty sure most of it was.
A lot of it. And then it's like the Post Malone one, like you literally see him punch and it's like his arm, there's not enough muscle there for him to be that fast, to have that impact. And you see the CGI, they're CGIing his little intro fight.
And the dude is like massive, his fighting.
Yeah. And he's just like this flabbily armed fat guy. Like, I'm like, dude, this is not how it works.
I mean, like, so the original is based around this security legend, Dalton, who's Patrick Swayze, who, by the way, probably at his absolute sexiest in this movie. As a very straight man, I had a lot of feelings seeing him
he's
as a
shredded.
early 30s, gym fit, 80s action star.
Yeah.
My God.
Oh, you're talking about Patrick Swayze. I thought you were talking Jake Gyllenhaal. Maybe, yeah. You tell me.
He's a beautiful
I haven't
fucking
seen
man.
it.
I'm not going to lie to you. He's got hair better than yours somehow, with the mullet going on.
It's life.
I feel like the first movie, it's got a bit of the, you were joking about like you go into the bar and someone throws a bottle, so if you punch your mate in the face.
Yeah,
It's got a bit of that about it, but like it's kind of quaint in that movie because it feels like a time when you would probably want to be in a bar fight to try and prove you're the strongest.
I think like honestly in the 80s, that was probably more of an acceptable social norm.
Completely.
Also, it wasn't probably overdone to that degree. I don't know. Maybe it was. You saw the movie. But like literally anything happens and they're like, gotta fisticuffs, bro.
Dude, it was worse.
Let's throw it out.
It's worse than the first film.
It can't be, dude.
Yeah, it's worse than the first film. Probably less brutal, but there's like more people in the bar and there's more people fighting.
Okay.
Well, the thing I liked about this that they changed from the first one was, so in the first one, he's just a grifter. He's just like a dude who is a security guard who's somehow known throughout all of the US as the best
security
guard. Yeah.
That's fucking dumb.
Whereas in this, Jake Gyllenhaal, like you say, is the next UFC fighter. So of course people are going to know who he is. Of course people are going to know that he's some sort of, badass fighter.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
That's a good change.
I like that, and he's got his own demons that he's trying to fight, which I don't think really came through for me in this.
No, that was like one of the worst parts of the movie.
Completely.
It's like give me more of the backstory. Then like what is the tension in that? If he's your friend, what's the tension in that friendship that could lead to you? Like there's obviously something more there, or there should have been.
Well,
that could lead to the competitive nature.
Yeah,
that could lead to like something.
I think he's just an angry man.
Yeah, but give me more.
You don't want to see me when I'm angry.
Yeah, just give me more. I don't understand how you could go so far as to do what he did.
Conor McGregor's got fucking nothing in this, lad.
Fucking nothing
in this. I can't keep it in any longer. I'm going to just jump into performance. Yeah. So the thing that I found most interesting about this was Conor McGregor's performance. So this is obviously his movie debut. And he just acts like he's off his head on coke the whole movie. That's all he does.
He might be.
If you believe the reports,
he might not be acting.
I didn't say that. That was that's from the newspapers. But yeah, none of it for me was like believable. And I know that is pretty much just Conor McGregor's personality. He's fucking walking around like you got nothing. Like I don't see anyone in the world just walks around like that.
I didn't mind his intro. I didn't mind his like intro to the shitty squad of shitters. But at some point you need to go back. You can't just be very big dick all the time. You have to like have something more to the you know what I mean? And
He's
it was
got
like
evolve in some way.
And it was just like the same
same
macho humor like the whole
Hubris,
time.
yeah.
It was just like, okay, this is now like you're a one-dimensional character now.
Completely.
Like I thought there might be more to it. No, it was just that.
I didn't.
Well, I was like, I guess maybe I was hoping he might do more after that intro sequence. But I actually liked his intro sequence. He just like walking around naked in Brazil or something, or Italy.
You're completely right, though. I think the first half of the movie actually was kind of fun. I quite enjoyed the first half. Like, I was laughing out loud, genuinely. Yeah. There's that one character who is like one of the lackeys. There's a lot of lackeys in this, which make me laugh. I haven't seen lackeys in a movie in probably 20 years, but he is just a bit dumb and a bit like, he's kind of, I don't think he quite realizes what he's in for. And he's just making like stupid statements and saying hello to the guy he's supposed to be fighting.
Yeah.
Like that stuff really sat well in this movie. But then again, that character didn't really evolve either. I feel like he kind of did towards the end. He had a bit of a change of heart and whatnot, but I feel like that needed to either slow down and be less of it when the action ramped up, or he needed to evolve in some way, and it didn't. He just sort of was doing the same stick the whole way through the movie.
Well, the plot didn't really like give them. There needed to be another element to like why people were so rowdy all the time. Like what if there was some other thing at play as well? That
they were poisoning the water.
No, they were like escalating tensions between the community in conjunction with just being like literal pests.
Sure.
Because like right now
the black
they're just like
the white community.
Yeah, some other thing that they're like stoking, not just coming in and breaking pool cues and slapping people. I'm like, these guys are just punks. Like they're just pests. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to talk.
And everyone else kind of sucks too because they're buying in.
And they're just fucking going for it. There's a lot to unpack with the fact that nobody just sort of goes, well, there's 5 of you and there's 100 of us.
Yeah.
Just jog on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you might have a knife. I'll hit you with this pool cue. What are you going to do? You know, like just kick them out of town. It's so easy.
Okay.
Then I suppose they're all protected by the police, which is a thing we haven't really gotten into. There's a subplot here of, you know,
barely a subplot.
Barely a subplot here of, you know, someone owning a lot of the land in town, which sort of we'll talk about more in spoilers, and why they really want the Roadhouse as bad as they do. Now, I wanted to quickly call out that Doug Liman claims that he thinks that this is Jake Gyllenhaal's best career performance. Now, I don't know about you. I feel like that's a bit of a stretch.
Pretty fuck. I mean, it's not that he's bad. It's just that there's not enough for him here to be a career performance.
Not in the slightest. And the people he's playing off against as well in this film. So, for example, Daniela Melicor's Ellie, who's sort of the love interest. Her, I don't know, motivations, let's call them, that's maybe a bit strong for this film.
Yeah.
Flip and flop all the way through. Like, she bloody hates him when they meet in the hospital. And then all of a sudden she wants to take him on a date. What's happening
Well, she's
here?
being a bitch, and then she's like suddenly like attracted to him. She's like, oh, I didn't see you in that light. I guess
the bad boy thing.
Hot.
Is that what it is? Oh, he's so polite, actually, for a bad boy. Maybe I can change him. Okay, give me more cliches. The book girl that he sees in the very first time he gets to town, Charlie, was she just badly dubbed? Because her voice didn't match up with her speech the whole way through.
Something about those scenes did bug me, and maybe that's it. I didn't notice it at first.
It was off.
Yeah.
Her voice was off. I'm like, just take 5 minutes to sort this out, guys. It's not difficult in the audio edit. Like, genuinely, I was concerned about whether she was okay during this.
Couldn't tell you, but I'll tell you what I can say, that both those characters, you know, not bad, but
lacking.
Honestly, those two, I actually didn't. I thought they were the better of the bunch, if I'm honest. But
I quite like the lackeys. I thought the lackeys were funny.
I enjoyed the one lackey that was like the comedic.
Yeah, and the
I just really like driving bikes.
The really big black guy as well. I thought he was hilarious. Like, he just literally, I don't know. Just something about him, the way that he carried himself and then just got the shit kicked out of him all the time, was just funny background characters.
Yeah.
I feel like the world they tried to build here as well was sort of just confusing. What am I expected to get out of this? It's just a small town. Everyone knows everyone. Didn't have a lot to it. Although I liked the music. The music was fun. They seem to have a lot of good bands from that area.
They did. The music was probably one of the cooler parts. Like they nailed the vibe, I think.
Yeah, right. But I don't think that built the world out to be anything particularly special. They just had a vibe.
No, because they keep talking about the community, but it wasn't really.
Who was the community?
Yeah, like
they just beat each other up all the time.
I agree. Like, it was kind of like fake.
There's bookstore girl, and then there's girl who owns bar, and that's the community.
Agreed. No, I totally agree. It wasn't like that. There was more to be done. But I wanted to learn more about that community. It looked fun, a beach park culture. You know,
great.
I was down.
I'd
love
to live on
the cool
beach.
parts were like when she like takes him out into like a little Everglade and they're having beers. Like, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty unique thing that you would only have in the Everglades.
Yes.
You know, I was down. Maybe they need to go and what are those things called? Those little maybe they need to go crawfishing. Oh. Maybe that's something we need to see. I don't know. Spitballing here.
Chekhov's crocodile in this, by the way. Bloody brilliant. How funny was that?
It's like, that was so expected.
They mention a crocodile,
but it also like had nothing to do.
Nothing to do with that.
So random.
Just eats a dude.
Yeah. How about the part that like when he comes back from that date and his shirt's all wet and the cops come to like take him?
Yeah.
He's like, why not? And he just like puts his wet ass shirt over. So I'm like, why don't you go in and get another shirt?
Right
dude?
next
Like,
to your house.
You're literally, your boathouse is right there. That shirt is sopping wet, salty.
Ironic that it's called
Roadhouse.
He lives on a boathouse.
Yeah. Also ironic that he probably didn't shower the entire movie. He was very dirty the entire
Very
movie.
dirty.
Yeah.
Although he did do a lot of swimming.
He did.
At random times. And he was on boats.
And there's no
too.
shower on the boat. So I guess not that random. Probably adds up.
Maybe that's why no one wanted to fight him, because he smelled so bad.
He did look kind of smelly. I don't know, dude. I'm kind of out of things to say about this.
He's a Terminator.
Yeah, the pacing kind of slows down. I want more backstory with the mate. You know, very much ambulance round 2.
Yeah. It amps up quite well. Like, it starts small with the bar fights. You then get like a group of bikers come in, and then you get the Conor McGregor characters coming in. But like, I just didn't feel any of it actually threatened Dalton at any point. He was just an unkillable machine. Like, the very first scene after the Post Malone thing, he gets stabbed in the parking lot, and he doesn't even like flinch.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think that's a good point. Like, this is supposed to be the small man versus the big man, but it never feels that way.
Right, because he's massive.
Yeah. Well, it's not even that he's massive. It's just that like, he's never really at risk.
Swayze's
like, he's
a short
taking
king
a
in the
chance.
original.
You know, like it's more just it's just also just like they're supposed to be outnumbered, outgunned, big money, and it just doesn't.
Yes.
It feels like the other side is a tottering bunch of
100%.
dopes.
100%.
Like, it's
Yeah.
And actually, it's not even that they like. It feels that way. They like actively portray them as that.
Yeah, they do.
So,
Well, what's interesting is this. Like, so we talked about Dune a couple of weeks ago, and there's a bit where Paul becomes semi-omnipotent, and you know, for me in that moment, it sucked all the tension out of the movie because I was literally like, oh, so he just knows what's going to happen from now on out, does he? And I felt like that was kind of like this the whole movie. He was just 5 steps ahead of everyone, and if he wasn't, he could just beat you up. I was like, what's Conor McGregor going to do against this
you
guy?
need to make him vulnerable. I agree.
Yeah, he's got. There's no point where he actually loses in this film to then go and have to, redeem himself or find the will to carry on fighting. There's none of that. He just loves a fight and goes a bit psycho at sometimes.
Yeah, random one-liners all the time.
Oh, what did you think of those?
They're pretty bad.
They slowed the movie down.
Yeah, now, mate. Do the Irish accent for me.
Why is he Australian?
I don't know, but
I got it right. What did he say? It's like he's out of tune or something.
Piano's out of tune, mate.
Conor McGregor is an Aussie.
Ass Aussie.
Yeah, it really is.
I can do the Aussie, but I can't do Conor.
Irish is out of tune, mate.
Guinness.
Terrible. I can't do it either. Come on, let's move on then. No, there aren't any tones or themes in this film. It's just bad.
Yeah.
What are your 3 best and 3 worst? So what we do is now we do 3 best, 3 worst, which is basically three reasons you might want to watch this film, non-spoilers, and 3 reasons you might not want to watch this film, non-spoilers.
The first half, not bad.
Yes.
Good setup.
I'll give you that. Like
I like where it's going, and there's like character moments as well. There's comedy, there's character moments.
Yeah.
And then after that, it gets kind of bad.
I heard one in there. Was that no more best?
This one, no. Jake Gyllenhaal finds a way to make it a bit fun at times.
Jake Gyllenhaal's diversity. He's just bringing something.
The dialogue sometimes is kind of funny, and like he is kind of badass. I guess give him that. I don't mind the setting.
Okay.
The setting in general, I'm like
Florida.
It's like the Everglades of Florida, so it's like nice hot weather, but still a bit Florida.
Yeah,
like it's like vacation spot, but still a little Florida. And so I like exploring that. I just didn't think they did enough.
Florida man does X.
Yes, exactly. That's my 3. Scraping the barrel.
I mean, mine are very similar. Just Jake Gyllenhaal's diversity, the comedy in the first half, and just the fact that I could watch this on Amazon. I didn't have to go pay for this, which I was very happy about. Well, I've forgotten the director's name already. That's terrible. Doug Liman. This should never have gone cinemas. What are you worst?
The back half of the plot. So the other half of the movie, for all the reasons we've already talked about. Just the level of cheese, like the piano's out of tune. Yeah. There's about like 100 lines like that. Like in between fights, it's just like super gimmicky. It feels cliche. Very it's the same thing as Ambulance. Like they're kind of just like one. They're obviously what's the word when you're just making stuff up as you go? Ad-libbing, but it doesn't really work at times.
I don't think they're good at ad-libbing either, which is
and then just I think the stupid backstory of the main fighter that's like not even fleshed out. Like he just decided to beat his friend. I think
there was an option. There was an opportunity there, and they failed it.
Those are my worst. How about you?
Mine are very similar. Conor McGregor. Just choose an actor. Why have Conor McGregor? Like I get it, he's a $1 billion star, but like he's just not. He doesn't act in this. It's just Conor McGregor being Conor McGregor.
Yeah, but that's what they wanted.
Yeah, the action was bad. Like I feel. Do you know what's really annoying? That last fight scene when it's just Conor and just Jake Gyllenhaal. It kind of looks like there's something there. Like they're actually doing some cool UFC style grappling. Yeah. They're rolling around a lot. You just can't see it. Because you are like behind whatever the punch or whatever they're trying to do here.
There's a couple moments where you saw it, but I get your point.
It made me feel nauseous.
Yeah.
And the tipping point around halfway through, it went from so bad it's good to just bad. Like there was a point. I can't put my finger on exactly when it was, but it happened, and you just went, "Yeah, this is like no longer really
like a good movie.
It's no fun no more." Quickly, then, can you guess me the IMDb score for this?
5.5.
It's 3. It's real brutal.
That's grim.
Brutal. Yeah. Can you also guess for me the Rotten Tomatoes at a percentage?
47.
66. Maybe the people like this.
Connor's fans come out.
They've clearly come out of the woodworks. Yeah. And finally, Letterboxd, which is always 3.6, but it's never 3.6. You say?
2.2.
2.9.
Come on.
So I feel like this is getting pretty much roasted all the way around.
It's mediocre at best.
But the real question is this better or worse than the most mediocre movie that we know, which is Aquaman 2018? DL, is it better or worse, and why?
I think it's better, only because like it is more grotesque in its badness. It's like less bad for the reasons that all superhero movies are bad. Does that make sense? It's like uniquely bad in its own way, whereas superhero movies just way too much CGI, same plot, boring. This at least had some actors. It had like the Conor effect, which is like, let's see what he's gonna do. There was enough novel badness here that I gotta say it's better.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna go against you this week. I personally think it's worse, just because, well, for a start, this would have really, really, really been helped by some Mark Wahlberg. I'm not going to lie to you. Any Mark Wahlberg in this would have been really great. In fact, I could see him
that's not even a fake joke. I
could see him in that Dalton role. He would have been great as that.
That's a real joke.
Bit of a washed up, fighter and stuff. I think but deadly seriously.
Or a bar goer, random bar guy.
Yeah.
Local.
He could have been the bad guy.
He could have been the dude that's just always at that bar.
Let's see Mark Wahlberg play against type.
I don't know. All I'll say is I think I just hold Aquaman in lower esteem than you.
Wow.
I think that must be it. Because I very rarely say something's worse than Aquaman.
I mean, this must have been close.
It's close in terms of like overall quality, but in terms of like entertainment value from watching, I would much rather have watched this.
I was more entertained by Aquaman than this.
Yeah, definitely not.
Absolutely more entertained by Aquaman than this. At least Aquaman, at least Jason Momoa was having fun with it. I don't feel like Jake Gyllenhaal's ever
Connor was having fun with it.
Yeah, but Connor was coked off his tits the whole movie.
To me, that's just like more entertaining than Jason Momoa ad-libbing.
Anyway, totally fair enough. And they both have a lot of beautiful men in wet jeans, which makes me very happy. Quickly, we'll do a couple of quick spoiler bits. Ellie's father is the local town sheriff who is in the pocket of Big Bad. And at the end,
whoever that is,
that he's in prison. You never see him.
Yeah.
He pretends that Ellie's been kidnapped by Brant, who's the son, to effectively get Dalton onto his boat so they can kill him. Mm-hmm. There's a double cross, and then everything just goes wild. What on earth was happening with that scene where Dalton was flying at them on a boat and then jumped boats somehow? What?
It's not how it works.
That's not how physics work.
Not how it works at all.
And then Dalton at the end is literally stabbed multiple times and doesn't die.
Yeah.
Right.
That's about the gist of it. I think
and the whole town is owned by a rich dude cliche who needs one last bit of land.
Yeah.
That's the biggest cliche by now.
It's fine if it's a cliche. It's more than how you execute the trope.
Badly executed cliche.
The
double whammy.
What I will ask you, do you know who Bob Menery is?
Bob Menery. Which is Bob Menery?
It's an Instagram personality. So when this dude I sent you a couple of his videos before the pod when you went to Instagram. When this dude just shows up as, henchman number 2, like, hey, get in the car. I got a gun.
Is he that guy?
Do you not get how this works? I was like, what the fuck is Bob Menery doing in this movie? He's like an LA guy that blew up because he does funny sports videos.
Oh, right.
And my buddies know him. He's not famous at all. He's got followers now on Instagram, but he's like a weird Insta famous, and now he's in a movie. It's kind of wild.
That happens. So the guy, I don't know if you've ever seen Film Theory on YouTube. I've been watching it for years. They do these big theories about they pick apart movies and they go Mario can't die and weird shit like that. It's actually, so the guy who's done it, he's probably done it for 10 years. He's actually just retired from YouTube, which is interesting because actually a lot of YouTube creators are doing that. But you
mean they're moving to another platform or they're just done?
As in they're stepping away from YouTube.
They've made so much money that they're done?
They've probably made a lot of money, and also with the...
the algo change, they're not into it?
With the change of the algorithm and the increase in focus on Reels, it just puts an extra layer on them. They've got to do more stuff. And these people make 20 to an hour and a half long videos. It's just not in the zeitgeist anymore. So YouTube have basically pushed them out of a role. But the point I'm making is Matt Pat, who's the guy who ran that channel for many, 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 many years. He made a random cameo in Five Nights at Freddy's movie. He's just a dude he's not an actor. He's just a dude. It's why are you doing it? Who are you trying to... You think you get an audience by bringing this guy into the movie?
I don't know why he's in... He actually doesn't do that bad of a job.
Actually, no, so that was the humor I liked. Yeah. Where Jake Gyllenhaal was all I need to do is break your forefinger and you can't shoot the gun. Yeah. It's great.
And he actually did well as henchman guy. He didn't take me out of it, but I was
henchman guy.
I was just who the fuck is this?
The bit when
the guy punches him in the face and he just takes it.
That's funny.
That was good.
That's funny.
And it felt like a real punch.
The bit after that when Conor McGregor is driving a boat at Jake Gyllenhaal, who's in the water, and Jake Gyllenhaal flips a dude on top of him and the boat flies over the dead guy. Wow. If he wasn't dead before, he is
dead now. Yeah, that was gruesome.
There isn't much to spoil in this movie. It's nonsense, basically. But what we can do is, DL, I can do for you a little bit of what we like to call trivia, true or trivia false.
Mm-hmm.
You want some?
Yes.
You're going to get some anyway. Okay. Trivia true or trivia false, DL. Development began in 2013 with one of the directors from last week, Rob Cohen, attached to direct. Is that true or is that false?
What?
2013.
I guess that could be true. It's
11
like a reboot.
years in the making.
Yeah, true.
It is true, actually. But also you got to think about COVID and then, the writers and actors strikes will have pushed this back and back and back. So it's probably only really like 7 or 8 years, which isn't too bad, I suppose. Okay. Trivia true, trivia false. Conor McGregor was tapped for the role while scenes were being filmed during the UFC event 285. Is that true or is that false?
I guess, yeah, it could be true, but I think it's false.
It's half true. Scenes were filmed during the UFC event.
Filmed? I thought you said he was picked.
So I just tricked you a little bit there. So they did actually use a proper UFC event to film some of the scenes. So the scenes where Jake Gyllenhaal does his weigh in and then does the fighting stuff. That was actually a UFC event, which was pretty cool. They did that. But Conor McGregor, completely separate, had nothing to do with that. I don't know if he's actually even still affiliated with the UFC. Doesn't matter. True or false, DL? Jake Gyllenhaal met with deceased actor Patrick Swayze's wife, Lisa Namey, to ask permission to play the character of Dalton out of respect to his fallen actor. Is that true or is that false?
I mean, if he did, I guess that's kind, but not necessarily true.
It's complete nonsense. I just like I just thought that would be something Jake Gyllenhaal might have done. I tried to find any record of that potentially happening. It apparently didn't. Finally, then, DL.
Roadhouse.
True or trivia true, trivia false, was filmed almost entirely in the Dominican Republic, which doubled as Florida Keys. True or is that false?
Feels like that'd be harder. But the Florida Keys are actually maybe not, because the Florida Keys are probably a national park. True.
It is true. The choice of location contributes to the film's exotic and dangerous backdrop, which is sure was dangerous. I'll give you that. Ultimately, I had fun with maybe an hour of this film, and then I just needed to switch my brain off. So it was a film. It was there. We talked about it. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with it. Yeah, we really appreciate you for doing that.
If you had to choose between this and Ambulance, what would you watch?
Oh my God! Why'd you save the real questions for the end, dear?
That's because that is the real Aquaman debate.
So
Ambulance,
but Jake Gyllenhaal was the bad guy in the Ambulance, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, right. Maybe Ambulance.
I think Ambulance is better.
I feel like it doesn't. Like, it absolutely doesn't. But Ambulance kind of gives me like Heat vibes as like a weird like background memory.
I think that's what they thought they were making.
I think that's what they were trying to do. It's obviously Michael Bay, so it's utter shite. But yeah,
I actually didn't think Ambulance was utter shite. It just wasn't. It didn't live up to
any of the potential.
Yeah, it wasn't anything special.
I remember
because that was before we knew Jake Gyllenhaal did this every 2 years.
I remember,
you know what I mean? Like,
when you put
he was coming off like a big bunch of good movies. I was like, this is the next one.
Well, that's it. And I remember when you put that on your most excited for 2020, whatever when it came out, and you said it's Michael Bay, but Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't make bad movies, it must be good. So
it was a sound theory.
We were all wrong. Well, look, guys, thank you for sticking with it. We do really appreciate it. DL. Where can they find us?
They can find us at thepodcastassemble@gmail.com or podcastassemble on Instagram.
You did it!
And really, if you guys really do want to help us out, you can give us 5 Roadhouses.
Roadhouse.
Out of 5?
With, compound words or
Roadhouse.
Or separate. I don't really care.
You can leave a review as well. That'd be really nice. We'll call you out if you do. That's awesome.
That would be awesome. Send us memes.
You can do it right there in your podcast capture of choice, Spotify, Apple, whatever you like.
And I guess that's it, bud. Should we close out the show?
Let's do it, baby.
All right. A big thank you to Matthew Bliss for editing and mastering this week's episode. If you'd like Matt to be part of your team of podcasters, get in touch.
He is the team.
On business. Get in touch with him at business at mbpod.com or head to mbpod.com and find out more about his podcasting services. If you want to hear his work, you can listen to From My Home to Yours, an expat repat podcast where Matt and his wife share their experiences and advice for others moving abroad, checking out things.
Very wholesome content, guys. You should go check him out. If you like what you're hearing here, you will love Matthew's dulcet tones.
What does dulcet mean?
Good question. Let's carry on.
I think you're calling him boring. No. Matt, he's a dick, dude. I don't think dulcet is a compliment. Anyway, we love y'all. Thank you for listening. Until next time, tally-ho.
Tally-ho, baby!
Roadhouse.